Hello everybody. So, we're here today with the XPro Storm DLX 150, my personal modified version of it. And I see a couple people commenting, and I've seen people asking what mod should they start with. So I'm going to break it down for you quickly. I'm going to try to make this a somewhat short video and explain to you guys which mods you should really do first. So, let's start it off here. So when I first got this bike, what I did first, unless you get it assembled from factory, which is a couple hundred more, it's going to come without the front wheel on, without the handlebars on, and I believe the rear wheel was off as well. Don't quote me on that, but so what I did was, you're gonna get it in a crate, and the crate is gonna be on a skid. The pain in the butt with that is that the wheels are held in place by metal bars. So what I did was I shimmied the bike off the front a little bit, lifted the pallet up so that the wheel was up a little bit, took a cherry picker, and I lifted up the front, these handlebars. I lifted them up with the cherry picker and I threw the wheel on. After that, I rolled it back the opposite way, put the back wheel on. So that stuff is self-explanatory. When you first get the bike, that's the stuff you're gonna have to do pretty much right off bat. So after you get that done, you get the battery installed, which is right under here. You're gonna install that. Then this is my suggestion. Some people don't do it, some people do it. First thing I did, I started the bike to see if it ran. Let it idle for about 30 seconds. Changed the oil instantly. Second thing I did, I went and changed the spark plug, because they come with very crappy torch spark plugs. I would bring it right to your shop and get it swapped right out. So after you've done that, what you're going to want to do is essentially check all the bolts, make sure everything's tight, make sure there's nothing wobbling around, and then you're going to want to ride the bike for about 100 miles. On and off, never going past about 5,000 RPMs. I wouldn't go over that because you want the engine to wear in properly. So what I did was for the first 80 miles, I didn't even do 100, I did probably 70, 80 miles. First 80 miles, what I did was I just went through the gears slowly, didn't go over 5,000 RPMs. I mean, occasionally you'll hit it over, as long as you're not pinning it. I got it up to about 80 miles and I dropped the old oil out that I'd put in and put new oil in, and now it's all set to go. Now that's your initial steps on this bike. Everything else is really personal preference, but as far as performance wise, everything I've done here has got this bike unlocked to what it really should be. It feels more like a Japanese bike when you've done all this stuff. So the first things I did, here, let me show you guys the first thing I did. The very first couple of things I did, I changed out all these gas lines, and in my videos I have links showing you all the stuff I got, where I got it, and the links to Amazon. I changed out all these gas lines for quality ones so that it doesn't split, because the crappy quality ones are known to split after a while and break and crack. We changed out all these lines. After this, first thing I did immediately after, I ordered myself a Nibby 26 carb, PE 26, and then you get the Nibby air filter to go over it, because the original one does not fit this carb, it's bigger. So that's what we did. Those are our first steps. Liquid, fluids, you change the fluids. Then we're going to run the bike, we're going to change the fluid again. After that, I would change these gas lines, swap to a Nibby 26 carb. You can find a PZ, the same carb that came with it, but one that's you can actually work with. The one that it comes with, you cannot modify it pretty much at all besides changing the main jet. It's got riveted in screws, so you have to drill those out to put new screws in it just to reclose it after you open it. It's just not worth it, and it's not a great carb anyway. But after that, we got gas lines, carb, air filter. those are the main things I did. With that being said, at the same time, I changed the chain on this bike because the original chain, they're not very good. I would not trust them. It started stretching almost immediately. After that, what I did was I changed the front sprocket to a 15. I might go to a 16 because with the amount of performance I've unlocked here, it's really, it picks up really a lot more in first gear now. First gear is usable, but it has a lot of down low, and I'm going to try to spread it out. I might go up to a 16. But yeah. So that's what I did from there. The sprocket, the chain. Then pretty much once you've done all that stuff, you have a pretty decent bike. Personally, after that, I started doing some things that I liked, which was these are much better quality than the original ones. They have screw and peg things for your foot so that, you know, you get actual grip. Changed the shifter because I didn't necessarily like the one that came with it. It's just seems very cheap, in the metal it's made out of seems kind of cheap. I put the yellow spoke protectors on because it matches my theme, and you know how spokes are. You're gonna smack them with everything, dirt, rocks. It does provide a little bit of protection with that. It's ABS plastic. Okay, now let's go over here. I did a custom graphics package. Some of it's just a package I ordered, and the rest of it's from stuff I put on it, like the Nibby carb. I just did that because why not? Okay, so from here, what I did, this exhaust. Now, I've had people ask me about exhausts on these, and, you know, not the easiest bike to find an exhaust that's going to fit without really modifying much. Some of them are bigger or low, you know. So the size I got to fit this thing, after a lot of trial and error, it's a 32 millimeter. This is the only pipe that I've found actually worth it, besides going to like an FMF and doing some real modifications. I'm sure you can find an FMF for like a CRF that'll fit the same size. I just thought this was a good option for like $79, and it sounds fucking incredible. So, no complaints there. My other peg. But yeah, for the most part, that's what I've done. I did change out every little bit of this line to make it color-coded, like coordinated. I changed this. This is the throttle cable. So what I did here, originally I had bought this cable just to go with the theme. So, you know, I installed it to the original carb. When I did that, there was way too much play, no matter how much I turned this out, because the line was too big. So after that, I was like, you know what? I'm changing the carb anyway. I'm going to change the throttle. Because the original throttle that comes with it, yeah, you know, it's going to work, but they're loose. They're, you know, not the best quality. Plastic, all cheap. I went and got myself a quick throttle. Now I can use this because this is longer and it spreads it out. It also feels better. I mean, I love this throttle, honestly. For what I paid for it, it's a great throttle. It really is. It does make a bit of a difference. I changed these bars with risers. These are fat bars, wider bars, so I had to put on risers specifically to change it to the bigger bars. So these will widen it out so you can fit these bars. And then, over here, I did put these guards on. They're very freaking loose at this point because I've been doing wheelies and slamming on the ground because, you know, not much to do besides practice wheelies right now. It's freezing out. Put these on. These were not expensive, easy to do. Probably like $25. They feel great. They're actually pretty strong. And yeah, that's pretty much what I've done to this bike so far. Not much else. I did cut off the end here where you see the tail. I cut that off, and I mean, right now it doesn't look great because it's just like, well, it's square. I'm gonna put a plate over it, so the plate's gonna cover right here, and then it'll look normal. But yeah, so far for what I've done to this bike, honestly, it's been a great bike. Once you do all that stuff, try driving it stock. You know, it's fun, it's reliable, but the problem is the carb is awful that comes with it. Driving it stock, you're gonna have fun. It's gonna be a fun bike. But as soon as you do these mods, you're gonna be in shock at how much it wakes the bike up. It's a different bike completely. In the beginning, when I first got it, it was hard to even get the bike to wheelie. It was like, I was wondering, I mean, this is like a 220-pound bike, and I can't even get the wheel off the ground. But yeah, that's because the carb, the exhaust that comes with this bike is very restrictive. Mine actually, here, let me show you guys. XPro had to send me a new exhaust because look, they were great about it though. I mean, every time I contact XPro about the issues I have, they're right on top of it. Takes them like 2 days. But look, as you can see, it's melting. And the reason for that is, now I thought it was just because it's just a shitty exhaust, which it is. It's not the greatest exhaust. But I had modded the carburetor. And I had upjetted about, I went from a 95 to right now I'm at a 108. I'm going to go to a 110. But I went to a 108 and changed everything else out. Bigger carburetor, wider throat on it. And it was pushing out more than this exhaust could really handle, and the exhaust was getting too hot. So going to this, it made all the difference in the world. The quality of this exhaust for the price it's actually pretty impressive. I've been nothing but impressed with it and how it sounds. But yeah, any questions, feel free to ask me in the comments. Had some time, so I figured I'd go over a couple of things. Nothing overly in depth because, I mean, it's mostly self-explanatory. If you guys run into issues with any of the carb stuff or anything, you can just contact me through the comments and I'll try to help. But here's one thing I'm going to show you guys, alright? Because this is an issue I had and I almost gave up because of it. 2 issues. So this, when you install the new carb, make sure that this is fitting flush. Nothing's falling down. You need to hold them in place when you tighten it. Because sometimes you'll get an air gap in here. This will be farther down. There'll be air getting in. Need to make sure it's perfect, nearly, with the gasket. So the Nibby one comes with its own gasket, comes with this plastic spacer, and you're going to have the gasket from before. Here's what I did. Personally, you don't have to do this. I kept the original gasket on here, and I actually used another gasket on the other side of this spacer, because this spacer, if you tighten it too much, it's plastic and it's going to bend. But with that, those two separating it, the gaskets, I was able to tighten it a little more without bending it somehow. Worked pretty well. But yeah, so right now with everything I have done, I'm running a 108-38 pilot combo. I'm going to step it up to a 110 because I can still go with that free flow exhaust I have now. I can get it to 110, 115 easily. But it's running great right now. It's been a great bike for what it is and what you pay. So yeah, that's about it. Not much more to go over. Might take it for a little spin eventually. But if you guys have any questions, feel free to at me. Whatever you need to ask. Now, I keep forgetting things here. Okay, so I'm going to show you one thing that I almost quit because of it. I could not figure it out. See this right here? No, actually, this one. See that? That clip right there goes to the CDI, and that's your spark, basically. If that's disconnected or anything, you're going to lose spark, and you're going to go nuts until you figure out that it's, disconnected or just barely loose. So what I did, see how the carb is right next to it. Installing the carb, I knocked this out, and I spent an entire day trying to kick over a bike that wasn't getting spark and was going crazy. Till I plugged it back in and realized I'm an idiot. So be careful with this. This is very easy to knock out, mess up. But yeah, it's a great bike. Now, I haven't started it in 3 days here. I'm going to choke it. I haven't started the bike in 3 days. It's pretty cold out here. Not a problem. So yeah, once you get all this stuff done, if you have issues starting it especially, that's the carb and the jetting. Once you get all this stuff done, you're going to have a reliable bike. Very reliable bike. Sounds good with this exhaust.